Founded in 2005, the American Steam Railroad had been working for nearly 2 years to secure and move a famous and forlorn icon from the 20th century. Reading Company steam locomotive number 2100. One of 4 surviving Reading T1 type locomotives left, number 2100 was built in 1945. Like the engines of its day, the 2100 and its class were powerful, exciting machines that represented the hustle and bustle of the American landscape. Even as railroads transitioned away from steam locomotives as their primary horsepower, the Reading Company responded to the public's fascination with steam locomotives by operating the Iron Horse Rambles, a series of passenger excursions that ignited a new generation's interest in American railroad history. After the Rambles, number 2100's luck changed. Over a period of 50 years, the locomotive's ownership changed hands half a dozen times, and the engine spent more time in storage or being transported than it did in operation. After a few days of operation in eastern Ohio, number 2100 was relocated to Canada and then moved once more to Tacoma, Washington. After 2 years, 2100 was still again. In 2014, that would begin to change. After spending several years to acquire, maintain, and prepare another orphaned locomotive in Taylorville, Illinois for shipping and restoration, the American Steam Railroad found itself poised to intercede on the 2100's behalf. In early 2015, the American Steam Railroad arrived to perform an initial inspection. Though stored outside in a dry climate, the engine showed some signs of neglect.
There's been a lot of theories and questions raised of the condition of the locomotive, along with some of the modifications and other work that was done to it. There are things that need to go through and be repaired, but there's nothing incredibly major. No real damage was done that's not reversible.
Over a period of several weeks, a crew worked to stabilize the locomotive's condition by performing important maintenance, lubricate and inspect the running gear, remove aftermarket parts, and to prepare the locomotive to be shipped to a new restoration site in Cleveland, Ohio.
We're underneath of the locomotive here, servicing the driving box cellars on the number 4 axle. With the environment that the locomotive's been stored in, it's a very dry climate, but it's also a very high desert, so there's a lot of dirt and sand and stuff blowing around. So we've gone through and removed the grease cakes that the locomotive's equipped with, and gone through and flushed out the boxes, made sure there's no sand or any foreign material in there. Then for the process of lifting the engine up, we're actually going to block these journals up. With the little bit that the locomotive's going to move here before it ends up on the flat car, we're going through and just coating the journals with a very thick engine oil, or a gear oil, if you will, so that everything's properly lubricated when the engine makes its first moves off of this siding for the first time in over 5 years.
Over several days, special flat cars were customized to carry the locomotive and 2 tenders. Tracks and custom wheel chocks were welded to the flat cars.
Moving locomotives around by rail on a flat car isn't too common, but moving something of this size this day and age is really a rare event. The last locomotive of this size was actually this one that moved when it came west several years ago. and we're basically just repeating the process in reverse that they had done. Barnhart Crane and Rigging is going to bring in what's called a unified jacking system. Basically 4 big hydraulic rams, one at each corner of the locomotive, and spreader beams are going to go across the top with straps and rigging coming down to the locomotive to pick it up. We're going to pick the locomotive up high enough to clear the heavy-duty TTX flat cars that we have for hauling the locomotive and the 2 tenders. Gone through and done all the engineering work for the tie-downs in accordance with what the AAR requires for the G loading forward and backwards, and then vertical. Going to weld everything down and tie the locomotive down to the flat bar and the wheel chocks and have everything secured with wire rope.
Through the cooperation of countless individuals, companies, and early benefactors, a new lease on life for the 2100 was on hand. On April 16th, the locomotive began its journey east. At its new home, the real work to restore and rehabilitate this engine will start anew. Though early estimates place the cost of the restoration at over $700,000, Number 2100 can be operable within a year if funds are raised. The long, unusual journey of 2100 looks a lot brighter in 2015. During the Iron Horse Rambles, author William Young wrote that they were a series of happy excursions to the past, a series of journeys that would make the young a little wiser, their elders a little younger, and set free in both a new understanding of a nation's long and deep experience with one of the most sensuous machines ever devised. With your help, that journey can start again. Visit fireup2100.org and make your donation.